The current spoiler warning level is Crimson.
Friends and folks, for this episode, you're looking at a spoiler warning level of Crimson. We're talking about a series of machines from Eureka 7, which is currently being covered by the Great Gundam Project. So for Great Gundam Project listeners, not only is this a current machine, but we will talk about stuff past where GGP is covered. We will have a spoiler break to let you know. There will be an alarm and everything. So if you are staying GGP current, consider tapping out at that point, because we do talk about machines from the future of Eureka 7, including ones that are heavily featured in plot content. They're, it's a bit of a twist. Anyway, please enjoy the episode. Hello friends and folks, and welcome back to another episode of Mechanista NG. I'm here for mechanical advice. I'm Six Detmar.
And I'm Dylan. Don't follow any mechanical advice I give. I am not, legally
Oh no, I
speaking.
don't give a shit about what you have to say. I'm appealing to the listener.
Fair enough. I was just, look.
I'm also observing that my mic is kind of hot, so I'm going to turn it down a little bit. There we go.
Okay.
So, folks at home with keen ears, aka innie ears, may have observed that on a lot of episodes, my chair is so squeaky. What do I do? That's the question. Well, currently what I do is I swap it out for a pretty uncomfortable chair that has no give, that's not an office chair for recording, because this one, like, here, I'm bouncing back and forth. I don't hear anything, but also I have headphones on. Probably you don't, listener. But this is not a great solution. This is a very stiff wooden chair that, doesn't hurt to sit in or anything, but it would be nice if I didn't have to swap chairs every time I recorded something. Anyway, so, let me know. I would appreciate any counts. I know probably it's just, WD-40, but even then, like, where do you put it, right? Like, it's not the wheels or anything. It's, yeah.
I was going to say, can you WD-40 wood to make it less...
Well, this one's wood. My normal chair is like a, IKEA desk chair. It has metal involved.
Yeah, okay.
Metal in the process. It has like a seat and then a separate back that you can lean back in. And even just shifting my weight will cause it to squeak at this point, as, again, folks can clearly hear on a lot of episodes. Anyway, that's enough, self-indulgence. Let's go ahead and roll on the request list. I will note, listeners who are out there, we are down to 7 things on this list. You should ask for stuff.
Yeah, ask for things.
It does make it nice for the people who still have things on it, because your odds of getting rolled are very high.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure, this one's been on the list for a long time.
Woo.
Full-size image. It's not as big as I would like, but you know what? Let me use an alternative source, courtesy of our friend Krish. Krish? Wow, Chris. All right, and then. Given this machine and how likely I think you are to guess it, that's what you get.
Oh, alright. Ooh. Interesting. Black and white line art. Huh. Gonna go out on a limb. Is this something from Ideon?
This is not something from Ideon.
Okay. I was looking at the line weight. This is definitely old. I'm thinking. But maybe not. I don't know.
It's either old or it's not.
Well, at first I was looking at the line weight and stuff, and I was like, well, this looks like it's maybe, like an old Okawara one. but
I mean, did Okawara change his, like, if you did a newer Okawara, would it still look like that?
That's the problem, isn't it, right? Like, his style hasn't necessarily changed a ton. So I was just like, maybe not. Like, and especially, like, if it's something that's turned into line work, without color. Because color could be a better giveaway for that, but...
Yeah, unfortunately, the color images I have, you might have better, I don't know. Sometimes you surprise me. Are smaller, and it's like, they're smaller enough that I feel like if I tried to do this gimmick, it would get a little blurry.
Okay. Can you expand it? Because I don't know.
You ready for your next shot? Fair bit more info in this one.
Oh, wait, this is a backpack. Oh, no, this is not an Okawara design. I know what this is. Devilfish.
No, I don't know what that is.
Oh, this is not the Devilfish. Okay, I was looking at that backpack and thinking the Devilfish from Eureka 7.
Okay. Yes, of course. How could I forget? Yes.
Well, especially just because, like, the way this backpack is, I guess... I'm, like, looking at this feels like I'm looking at a backpack. Right here. And that's, like, the arm in the background, and then that would be the head. I'm like, so it's not the Devilfish. Is this something from Code Geass?
For whatever reason, this is in my... The Devilfish is in my head as the terminus. I know that's technically true, but that's not what people fucking call it, so I don't know why my brain's like this. Is it something from what?
Is this something from Code Geass, would be my other question.
It is not something from Code Geass, though. I think that's a smart angle.
Well, because, again, I'm looking at this, and this is like this looks like an expanded backpack. Like, that would also be a cockpit to me. Is what I'm thinking looking at this. Oh, shoot. I feel bad that I'm not getting this. I think I'm just gonna have to ask for one more expansion. I'm sorry.
I mean, hey, listen. Your failures are my glee.
Fair enough.
Broadly speaking, across our relationship, if you don't get it from this, not that I'm disappointed in you, but after this, I don't know that more information will help you.
Oh, wait. Oh. Okay, this is just the Nirvash.
This is just the Nirvash. That's
I'm
correct.
Dummy. Okay. I was making it complicated.
Yeah, I mean, you got very close, right?
Yeah, no, I can't believe I did not get that was the Nirvash's backpack immediately. Dang. Yeah, alright. I do have better color art. Give me 1 second.
Please.
Alright.
I'll put this on the screen for the... Oh, damn it. I did that. Undo. Audio listener, I am enjoying the various features of Fig Jam and how they sometimes activate when you don't want them to.
Yeah. Alright. Let's see. There's a couple of Eureka 7 books, so just give me 1 moment, because I'm just double checking. Oh, this one is just line art in this one, huh? There's not actually color setting in here. That's interesting. Huh.
So what I'm thinking right now is that I will post all the line art, and then I will post one, like, lower resolution color image so that we can use that as a touchstone while discussing.
Yeah.
I know this layout looks bad right now, video listener. Give me a minute to figure it all out. Once I get the color image from there, I can figure out how we're going to do this.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Just looking through. Okay, here we are. Oh, no, that's actually... Yeah, no, that's not great resolution on this one. This page is not a great scan. Damn. Because I was going to say, I have this page, but, it is... Like, here's the size of all the stuff, and you can see that the actual color art there of the Spec 1 here is still tiny.
Yeah, interesting.
Alright, give me one more sec. I'm gonna check something. So there's one book I don't have downloaded yet that I know is on one of these websites. So I'm gonna see if this book has color art. And if it doesn't, then, well, we might just have to go with this line art. And then I have a bunch of, like... these books have promo art that's in color and really nice looking. It's just odd that they don't actually have sete. Yeah, weird. Okay, you know what? Yeah, well, hold on. Let me just pull up a good-looking page spread of the Nirvash then. Just because... Specifically of the Spec 1 first, so... Here we go. It's in a pose, but you can actually see its colors there. So, you know. Yeah, that's not really a better option in here. That's so weird. That's so strange. Like, this is reminding me of also, like, Gunsword, where, like, it's just hard to find the mecha art. Which is strange in Eureka Seven's case, because it's not like it's unpopular.
Right.
You know, like Gunsword's a bit more obscure, even though it's a Sunrise show, so I kind of get it there. But, like, Eureka 7 is, like, a pretty big anime for Bones, you know? So I feel like it's extra weird.
I feel like, I don't know, I'm ready for a counterexample to immediately be supplied, but I wonder if Bones just doesn't have that pipeline down.
Yeah, here. Also have that art. That one actually might be better just for seeing the full body color of the Spec 1. So
you are making me think, however, how fitting it would be to have the, colors Jibun Wo as the Nirvash just sails across the sky. That would fit perfectly.
All right. So, the Nirvash typeZERO. This is the main mecha from Eureka 7. And yeah, so I called it the Spec 1. That's because obviously it's going to have other forms. We will talk about those later. But for now, yeah. Also going to get it. I guess also I'll be remiss if I don't bring up some of the stuff from the later sequels. Now, I have not seen Ao and whatnot all the way through. I don't really like them. I really like original Eureka 7. I do not like its, spin-offs and sequels, which, to be fair, common opinion. So it's not like I'm saying anything groundbreaking there, but that's just my thought. So yeah, the Nirvash is, an LFO, which stands for Light Finding Operation, which is, the name of some of the mecha in Eureka 7. And, eventually, the Nirvash is, used by originally Eureka, who is a humanoid Corallian, and then later on Renton as well, Renton Thurston. And yeah, so it is the original LFO also. It is the first one they dug up. I say dug up because the mecha have inside of them what I believe, I'm trying to remember, is it called it's called an archetype, which is sort of an organic humanoid body that is found within, like, the earth. And it's essentially, it's almost like it's like a weird headless, like, body. And it is seemingly partially organic. In Eureka 7, the mecha tend to, they tend to bleed when cut open and destroyed in that way. So, yeah. And yeah, the Nirvash though, this is the first one that is used by our main character. Obviously they stick with the Nirvash, but the Nirvash does change a couple of times. So trying to think of how to talk about it. Yeah. So basically, does have a transformation. I believe that the car mode you posted is the Spec 1's car mode. So
I think that's right. Yes.
yeah, so pull that up. Yes, let me just describe the design. So for the head, we get a head that has a large commander antenna looking extension. Obviously not a commander antenna, but that is what it looks like. We get some red around the trim of the forehead. The forehead ends in a point. Each side of the head has these two extending forward earpieces that kind of come out at an angle. These are in red around them. It also has some cheek vents around the sides of the head, just normal vertical vents. You have then a large face plate. You have two eyes. The eyes are green, and they do seemingly have like pupils and a darker green on them. You then have red below the eye, followed by a white faceplate, followed by black around the chin, and the chin ends in a pretty strong point. The chin also itself has some like little thrusters built into it, or little vents built into it. Then I guess some other quick head details. Where the crest is going upward, you can see like it like the head has like this little intake almost looking part here. There's like vent on the top middle, right behind where the antenna is, and then you also get this big V. It's not a V fin. It's just like a black V, kind of just around the
painted onto the metal
base of the fin. Yeah, just painted onto the base of the fin there. Moving on to the torso, the little neck area, you've got some yellow at the base. It's like a really dull yellow. It's not quite a bronze. It is clearly metallic, but it's not like gold. It's like a sort of dull yellowish, but like metallic color. Then you've got, for the middle of the torso, you get white around the top of the pectorals, has a little bit of a popped collar around this area. Then for the middle of the body, you actually have a set of headlights on either side of the pectorals. They are like made of what appear to be like 3 lights, basically, built into the chest there. You also have another black V, or I guess it's more of a dark gray, because it's not the same color as like the black paint. It's like the same metallic color as the chin. You can see in this picture like it's shiny, but it's, you know, it is like metallic. I guess it's just not even really a silver. It's just like a gunmetal color. That's I guess what I would describe it as. And yeah, so you have that bit of color on the top of the chest running to the back. Then you have red around the headlights on the pectorals that also goes towards the back.
I'm not seeing the silver that you're talking about
this part,
on the
right
collar here.
That's
just
let me find it in another.
The same white that everything is.
Okay, let me find another picture for you. There you go. It's the light is making it.
Oh, that little.
Yes, see. And you can see it's separated there. I guess here they drew it a bit bigger. It's a little hard to see it, is the problem.
Is that not the... Is it... it's weird because it's inconsistent, right? Like, here's another one. Here's the one that you have under here, and you don't see that at all on this drawing.
Yeah, I think that... Oh, that's the Spec 2 is why.
Oh, okay.
Look at the shoulders.
Yeah, alright, fair enough.
And then you can see it here, too, on, like, this little side image.
Okay, yes. Good. You know, that color combination to, like, the gray, that particular gray trapped between whites almost looks a little heavy arms-ish.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see it. Oh, whoops. Did not mean to get rid of that. Just because, again, it's the one, like, big full body and color I have. Which, actually, now that I look at that, is that art of the Spec 2?
I think it's of the Spec 2, because that's why you don't see the...
That's why okay, I thought it was just shining on there. Dang. Yeah. Really hard to find, a lot harder to find the Spec 1's art, if I'm being honest. I mean, like, you can find it in promo art, but, you know, it's not,
Let's see how bad this looks when it's blown up.
Probably not.
Probably pretty bad.
Yeah, probably, well, you know what?
It works, I mean, it's workable.
It works.
But...
There we go. Right, okay, because, yeah, this doesn't have the red around the... Oh, this is annoying. Doesn't have the red around the headlights. Okay, that's my bad. The problem is the Spec 1 and 2 are very similar. It's not like a significant difference, but then you see them next to each other and you go, oh, okay. But, you know. Anyway, alright, yeah, so it's just white around the headlights. Then you have black on the lower part of the torso on the underside. Red around the part of the abdomen going, like, all the way back, but still on that, like, chest plate. Then you get more of that, like, that dull gold color for the, connecting into the waist, and there are, like, two sections there. You can see it where it would rotate. Then for the shoulders, you've got these... First, you have visible joints, again, in that dull gold. Then you've got these large shoulder pads. They are black around the edge, followed by a white section, then another black circle, and then a green shiny part within the middle. And just kind of a very standard shape, almost a diamond shape, but the bottom hooks a little bit downward and then flattens at the very bottom. Just these little shoulder shield bits of armor. You can also see on the back of them, this is where the weapon, I guess I would say, one of the main weapon of this is kept, which is these little boomerangs. You can see on the back there. And then moving on down to the biceps, you have these really long biceps. They are white on the front with a red stripe going down the middle of the sides, and then black on the back. And then visible joint, followed by the forearm has some red around the base front of the arm, like where the joint is. Then it goes into the white, red, black pattern that the bicep has. And then you have a large black part around the wrist. You have these really large hands. They have these little, like, circular parts on the back of them. And they almost look like gloves. They're in white.
A lot more glove-like than a lot of mecha. It also is kind of interesting to note that underneath they look a little more mecha-y. So
just the back of the hand is is like a soft cover almost. And then the bottom of the finger, you can see like your more standard kind of mecha hand going on there
with the segmentation.
Alright, then moving on to the waist. No skirts or anything, just a waist piece with some white around the front crotch plate, and then mostly just like that dark gray color for the rest of it, going to the back. No rear skirt or anything either. Large visible joints for the legs. The thighs are, again, the triple stripe. You got white, then red on the sides, and then it's black on the back. When you hit the knee, you have a large extended knee part going upward. That is another one of the gray parts again. You have these two little like circles on the sides of the knee. Then the calf is white, red, black, same pattern. Then when you hit the ankle, interestingly, the ankle is in red, like this little visible like joint for the ankle. Then for the feet, you get white on the top. You have these two little like wings that are swept back. They're not really wings, but you know, just what I would call them, like, you know, wing sandal kind of look to me. but they're just these large plates that are swept back pretty far. They have these little intakes on the sides of them. Then you get a little bit of red on the front base. Oh yeah, sorry.
I want you to know that the internet has protected you this day.
Yeah.
I have been trying to find a Nirvash, like, MS girl, essentially, and just been utterly failing. No one is doing it.
Yeah, no, I doubt it.
So I can't torture you with that, unfortunately.
Then the foot itself, you get gray around the base of the foot, and then black at the very tip. You can see there's the two tones there. You have these 3 red little, like, tall hexagons embedded on either side of the foot there. And then for the heel, you do have a large wheel in the heel. You can also see there's a wheel in the back of the thigh as well. Finally, for the backpack, it's not really much of a backpack. It's kind of connected to the torso, but, I always leave this off for the end, though, when that happens. You've got this large part that is sticking off the back with 2 large thrusters on the bottom inside of these giant, like, circular wells. And then on the top, you've got a intake, followed by these large, 2 large, like, little pods for the seats. They are closed in this color art right here, so they have a red cover that can go over them, but they can also just be open canopy, like, that's just normal glass on it. And it's got one on either side, and then you have some little vents in between the two. And then, so then you also have a car mode. You also have, you don't see it in the art on the humanoid mode, but this has a ref board, which is a large surfboard for surfing on, like, on the trapars. The trapar phenomenon in the universe, and you can see this is, like, what the ref board looks like. It's a large surfboard. It does have these 3 hard points right here that connect into right behind this large intake. There's actually, like, a little part that pops up. It is able to tuck down in there. You can see, like, the panel line for where it is popped down, and then that part extends up, and you can see it there. And so when attached to the back, it forms almost kind of a spoiler, especially when it's in the car mode, because then it pops the ends down. Looks very, like, fancy car spoiler there.
I've got it. This is from the Moderoid, but here's just a quick...
They made a Moderoid? Like oh yeah, duh. They of course, I forgot that they did that recently. Yep. And yeah, you can see it on the back there, on the robot mode. And then for the vehicle mode, basically what ends up happening is the legs, the torso swap, like, this whole mechanism goes backwards. Actually, let me see if I can find, do they have, no, they don't have a good picture of, like, the mechanism for the transformation. That's fine. But since you have the underside there, you can see, like, basically the waist pops backwards, like, this whole torso section, like, where the little connection part is here in the red, goes back. The legs kick all the way forward, and the feet go, like, flat to the point where the legs are just almost like a big point, which has the wheels, from the back of the heel and the back of the calf, down and exposed. Then you have the arms go backwards. They fold all the way back, and they clasp around the back, which is actually an element I always think is really fun. Clasp around the back of it. And then, these, little thruster parts here, pop down, and these are actually large wheels as well. They operate as large wheels on the back. And you can see them there pop down. And then the head just kind of tucks into the chest. Forgot to mention, this is a Shoji Kawamori design. Macross guy. So, yeah. And yeah, so the Nirvash is... In terms of its armaments, it's kind of simple. It does use when we see it in the past, because there is, like, a little past section, it does have, like, a, what is essentially, like, a large beam rifle. But when, it is being used by Rent and Eureka, when it's just the Spec 1, they typically just use the boomerangs that are on the back of the arm here, these little blades. That it can
There's
grab.
also cited a shoulder-mounted laser cannon. If you,
I think that might be in the movies that gets added.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
but in the show it is not. I think it also has lasers on the ref board in the movie as well. The movie has some pretty major changes to the design to make the action scenes a bit like more actionful. But yeah. So yeah, for some fun other art of this design, I actually have some of, I believe this would be Kawamori's art here, like, rather, that sete obviously is the sete for the show, and you can see by this, like, line style, this is definitely Kawamori's art, like, the rear art looks like some of his Armored Core art, you know, it's his fancy detailed line work.
No, this looks great.
Yeah, no, so this is fun. And you can see it's, you know, just got a lot more detail going on. Like if you're on
Stop moving it around.
I was showing the two backs for the video people real quick.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Just
Never mind.
when I was just talking about like all the extra detail there. Anyway, I'll move that to the middle now so they can see the whole thing. Sorry, video people. I just look, I wanted to have the comparison. But yeah, it's just very nice line work. Interestingly, rather than like the normal stripe, he draws like 2 stripes on the side. I would need to see if he has an image of this in color, because I'm curious, like, if he does like two red stripes, like in 2 different shades, or what.
He draws a lot of stripes everywhere, and it kind of makes me feel I don't know that it's supposed to be totally color separation. I don't know if it's like indicating. I don't know. I can't tell.
Going into my design works book. The funny thing is, if I go into the design works book, his early art for this design is wild. Oh, god damn it! Funnily enough, his book that is not a Eureka 7 branded book actually has probably the best frontal sete in color of the design. That's of course the one book I didn't look in. Here. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
I'll let you put these up for the video people to look at real quick. There's also one of the car mode, and then one of the back and some head close-ups. I'll let you arrange those real quick.
Sure. Good example of the canopy uncovered here too.
Yeah, you can see the glass exposed there. God, it's just funny to me because I'm just like, oh, of course that's the one. Because, you know, sometimes I'll look in the artist books, but I didn't think to look in the Shoji Kawamori book for this. I just assumed any of my, like, 4 Eureka 7 books would have had it. But no, of course not.
I like the layering of the armor on the neck. That's cool. We don't, you know, as a primarily Gundam podcast, we don't get to have fun with necks very often.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, this design in a lot of ways is very unusual, you know, compared to Gundam Mecha. I could also show you, for Kawamori, some of his wild-ass early takes on this design.
Ooh.
So here's some of his concept art of it. It is wild. You can see what he's going for. The colors look weird, and then you realize he's trying to look like a tight
race car
suit. You know, like a big wetsuit almost, with the stripes and stuff.
I think, yeah, I guess that's part of it. I think there's also an attempt to make it seem more like there's some race car in this, right? I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, especially given, you know, it has its transformation design that is meant to be that.
Do you think he'd abandoned this design when someone said, Kawamori-san, why is it pogging?
God. Here's another early one. We can pull up. Again, just a lot of the key... It's interesting because a lot of the same elements are on these. It's just, you know, the mostly the colors and, like, more minor details. Like, it has the same overall shape. Probably because all of these were designed to turn into the car mode. You know?
Sure.
But
you're right, these ones look even more humanoid. I mean, you can't see joints on these ones for the most part.
Yeah. It's really fun. I like a lot of this early art, even if I prefer the final one. Oh, one more weird one. This one's just got weird colors to it. I mean, they've all had weird colors, but this one's not even like normal Nirvash colors. This one's blue and yellow.
Wow, that's wild.
crazy. But yeah. So yeah, that is the Nirvash Spec-1. And yeah, it's a cool machine. It is a machine that I'm trying to it's weird, right? Because like it is piloted by Eureka and Renton. It has this like weird green drive plugged into it called a compact drive. That is like one of the things that power it. And a lot of the phenomena with it don't feel like it is the Nirvash, but it's not the Nirvash. You know what I mean? It is like, it feels more like something like when it does things like the 7 swell phenomenon and whatnot, it feels less like that's like the Nirvash's ability and more like that is like ability facilitated by the Nirvash, like done in a way by the pilots. It's weird, you know? This is not like a crazy souped up armed like super robot necessarily, you know? Or a real robot. It's not really a super robot. It's weird. The Nirvash is weird. Eureka 7's a weird show. I like it, but it is weird. One other color close up just because you can see the eye really well here. I like the eye here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find also just some line work of the earlier Nirvash. I know what I can find for it. Nirvash Robot Spirits. So they did do some Robot Spirits of these, and they actually did do a Robot Spirits of the military version, which so it's still the spec, it's the original. It's still the Spec-1, but this is the colors it was when it was still in use by the military, and you see this in the flashbacks. It's not the greatest image just because old Bandai one from 2000 and like the early 2010s, so before they upped the resolution on these. But you can see it there. The colors are all grayscale. It has red instead of green at the ends of the shoulders, and then it's got red eyes. Looks very evil, which, to be fair, it is doing very evil things in that
I guess
part.
that's fair.
Here's the beam cannon for this, by the way, so we can see that. You can see it is a huge over-the-shoulder beam cannon.
Wow.
Does feel a little Gundam-y, specifically because it's got this scope that is like gold on the inside with the crosshair on it. Very first Gundam, I should say, for the scope there. But yeah, no, otherwise, this is just like a huge over-the-shoulder beam cannon. It's got like a large back end that is popped over. You can see it actually has a cable that plugs into the Nirvash as well. It does have a large secondary grip on the front of it, in front of like the trigger area. And yeah, it's a fucking huge beam cannon. It's really cool though. Just as a design, but it is not what this is known for, because this is not what they are running around with in the show. You only see this in the flashbacks. And then, yeah, so Gecko State, when they had it, repainted it to look definitely less evil. But yeah, so partway through the show, when Renton runs off with the Nirvash for a little bit, the archetype itself starts changing a bit, and they also need there's also a couple other reasons to change it. I believe this just happened to him. Like he's sounding questioned on this. I believe the board the initial ref board gets destroyed, so they need to get a new ref board for it, and then also put on new armor for it because the archetype has grown and changed a bit. So when that happens, it then becomes the Spec-2, which again, how was the color for that on MAHQ, out of curiosity? Was it better? Or is it still small?
Let me check that.
I'm also Nope, it's still the line work, which, let me see does the Kawamori book also have the Spec-2 in it? I think it did. I think it was just smaller than the Spec-1, but let me double check. Shoji Kawamori Design Works. Yeah, okay, here.
Cool.
I'll post this image. That way we have some color images of it and its forms. So, here's that. Yeah, not the highest quality, but, we take what we can get. So the Spec-V has a couple changes, notably some of the ones I had already mentioned because we were looking at the wrong one earlier, like around the torso, it's got the head is the same, the body, you've got like the extra red around the headlights, it does drop that gray part in the middle, the part right below the front middle is now, like you have a big black part underneath, and then you have red for the lowest armor of the torso there. Still have the same visible, like, torso joint there. It also, instead of having 3 headlights, has 2 larger headlights embedded in there. The shoulders are a place that another major change happens. So, one, the ref board is put onto the shoulders, which you can see in this line art all the way through. I do have some art of what it looks like without the ref boards attached, because obviously when it's riding the board, it is not on the shoulders. And you can see it's got a new, sort of a elongated hexagon shape for the under armor there. And then, of course, when not in use, the ref board is on there, which I think is a cool look. I like the big shoulder shields, the shoulder shield look it has with the ref boards attached.
I like that they tuck underneath.
Yeah.
Right?
Because you can see that's cool the top part. This section right here doesn't come off with the ref board, only the lower part. Yeah, it's cool the way these plug in. And then the arms are basically the same though. The waist, you have these extra little vents in the side pieces of like the crotch plate there, or little intakes. And then for the lower legs, you have these taller knees that have these like large blades on them. Basically, is what the knees look like. And they have a large red stripe at the front and then white on the back there. Other part that changes are the feet. So the feet now still have the little extensions going back, but they're actually a little further back on it, and they have a different design than the Spec 1. Around the base of the feet also, instead of having the 3 red hexagons on either side, you now have these large... You have a large red one in the front middle, and then a large red one around either side of the foot. So yeah, one of those things where it's just like lots of little minor cosmetic changes. The other thing it changes is the alt modes that this has. This gets 2 alt modes. So is the car mode, which is a pretty similar transformation, though it also can fold the legs back and then have I believe... Ooh, what makes this part come out of the front here? Is this the ref... Oh, I think that might be the bottom... Yeah, that's the bottom of the ref board. So part of the ref board goes into the front of it. And it has what is essentially like a plane mode, or a flight mode. Which is fun. It's a neat upgrade. Trying to see if I have some Kawamori art of this one. It doesn't really change, like, its armaments or anything, which is funny. It still just uses the boomerang knives, and then the ref board is obviously pointed, and it can use that as a weapon. This was true on the prior one as well. But yeah. And now for GGP people, we'll obviously have a warning at the start, but this is where we have to start splitting off into weird directions of unknown territory for people. We'll be starting with the show, but this changes drastically between a few different versions, the movie and the show and whatnot. So...
Friends and folks, beyond this point are spoilers for Eureka 7 and the extended Eureka 7 franchise. So, if you are keeping current with the Great Gundam project, I wouldn't continue past this point. However, if it's not a big deal to you, then carry on.
Give me 1 second, and we'll start it. So, after a certain point in the show, the Spec-V is basically in the last episode, I believe. The Nirvash transforms and just the archetype busts out of the armor completely and, like, just grows into its own thing. And so you get a really wild design. Trying to think of how I want to do this, because this page is too vertical to do. The Spec-3, as it is called. And the Spec-3 is kind of wild. It is fully just its organic, archetype having grown now, larger than the armor. And it's very weird and alien looking. It's fucking cool, in my opinion. So yeah, this version of the Nirvash, the Spec-3, only appears in the TV show, I believe. They changed this in the movie, unfortunately. And yeah, so the Spec-3, is essentially a large creature. It is mostly in white. The head still has kind of the Nirvash shape, but then instead of having the ears going back, it turns into more of like almost like a UFO shape. Still has the horn. Mm-hmm. You have a face below. The face and the neck have almost like these tendons going into the torso, and it has this large gap between the head and the torso that's like... Mainly because I believe the archetypes, like, again, when we tend to see them, they don't really have heads. So it's like almost like the archetype has now grown a head, which is fun and very weird.
You know what it looks? The head kind of looks like a medieval like kettle hat.
Yeah,
almost.
I can see that. And for the face, you only have the one eye visible. And then later on in the episode, the other eye pops open and it breaks like part of the face like armor, the white, when it pops open. And if I remember right, the color of the eyes, one's colored like one is like Eureka's eye and one is like Renton's eye. So that's fun. And yeah, it does weird things we will talk about. So you can see that, so the body is white. You've got this little like sort of core in the chest that has some black stripes around it and does like this like, a lot of the black striping also has like this like green emitting from it. The shoulders are very circular. You do have these like little green parts embedded in the shoulder. More of these black lines around like the bicep area. The arms are very large. You don't really see a visible joint because this is mostly just like flesh at this point. So it just moves more human-like. It's a soft material. With these really large hands at the end. The little circles on the back of the hand have grown huge. And then the hands are just like large now. Well, again, lots of this little black striping going throughout. For the waist, the crotch part like has this like weird area that pops up on it. And then same with like where the legs are connected into, like these, you have these large parts that just pop upward. And the legs, again, no like visible joint or anything. You get some black lines like where the knee is, like where the idea of a knee is in the middle. Mm-hmm. And then you have these large like open chasms like in the foot that have like a bit of like this line kind of splitting them in the middle, which is wild. This design is really cool. It's starting to verge on not being a mecha anymore, because this is like the little alien basically inside of the Nirvash, like fully grown.
Sure.
Another thing it does for its armament, the chest moves up and that little orb that you can see a little bit there is fully revealed, and it is able to fire a large crazy-ass beam with it. With this beam, one of the most famous scenes of the show happens, wherein as he fires the beam upward, it also hits the moon, and the moon, it carves in Eureka, it's Renton, Heart, and then Eureka that he has carved into the moon with it, with using the Nirvash's beam, which is wild, also. Yeah, so...
Meanwhile, halfway across the planet, people look up and they're like, huh, wonder who they are.
Yeah, it's great. My favorite version of this is in Super Robot Wars Z, which features so many series that rely on the moon that, if I remember right, like, because the Eureka 7 chapter, like, end chapter is not the end of the game, and it has like a couple more chapters. Everyone is a little bit aghast, like they think it's a really sweet move, and then they're like, Garrett and them have to remind him that, hey, the microwave facility for the Gundam X is on the moon, and then of course Loran is there and is like, the moon race lives on the moon. You be careful. Don't do that, please. It's really good. I love that because there are multiple series that use the moon in this way. When Renton does this sweet gesture, then in the show, you know, it doesn't really matter. It's just a cool thing. Everyone has to scold him. It's so good. Anyway, yeah. So the compact drive inside of this the Nirvash has, like, you know, made it fully evolve, and it is now just like this its own independent being. That, you know, Renton and Eureka can still hang out in. And yeah, I like this form a lot. It's weird. It is certainly weird, but I mean, you know, when you have what is essentially a large alien being growing out of it, it makes sense that it's weird. Let me see real quick. I have a couple other little pictures of this Spec-3 real fast to show off. We just get some nice art of the body here. It's so funny because, again, like, even though it's like a mecha, you get this like fun thing with like the design being very, you know, organic. Also, the cockpit, it is essentially controlled kind of by a ring, which is fun because this is very similar to another machine we will be probably having, well, that we will have to talk about, that is based on the Nirvash, type theEND, which has a weird cockpit as well. But you can see it's like a big organic ring that just kind of is suspended in there and just kind of is able to follow your movements, sort of Gundam, G Gundam style or something, which is fun. So, since we're continuing with just the show stuff first, it would be better to talk about theEND, because that's actually in the show alongside, you know, the Spec-3. Okay. Give me 1 second. Nirvash type theEND, is the name of the unit. This is introduced actually pretty early in the show, funnily enough. This is a machine used by Anemone. Let's see real quick. Trying to see if I can find color art of this one. I don't think I can, unfortunately. Just impossible to find color art of these guys, which is unfortunate. God, well, I do have an ancient robot spirits picture, and I don't know what's happening. Why is this posterized? Oh, wait, that's the link. That's not what I wanted. I wanted the image. Here we go. Why is this, like, posterized, the background? What the fuck is happening here?
Yeah, that's a choice that I dislike.
Yeah, I don't think the original image was like that. I think that's that shop link that does that weirdly. Because, I'm seeing it on other websites, either without a background or a bit more normal. Okay, yeah, you do have that color art. Cool. Alright. So, yeah, Nirvash type theEND. This is a very weird one, that, like I said, is used by, Anemone, who is great. So, we don't really get a lot about the past, but it is clearly, like, a clone of the Nirvash in terms of what it is doing, or what it is supposed to be able to do. But it is far weirder and more evil looking, which is appropriate given its role. So, to describe the head, sort of Nirvash-like in the idea, but you have on the sides of the head these two large horns that are swept forward, and then the antenna is huge and swept upward and then has like a little bit of a curve at the end before the point. For the face, you have the same general shape as the Nirvash's face, but a bit more organic looking, and some much scarier eyes in this. A really cool scene and moment with this early on is it actually has the eyes closed until it grabs the Nirvash, and then the eyes roll into place when they open, and it's really creepy. You can see some close-ups of the head that I have linked here for the video people. These eyes are a bit more organic looking, with a red ring around them in the middle. Very, very weird looking. For the torso, you still have the head kind of embedded in the torso in a interesting way. Like you still have like the neck guard and whatnot. It's not as visible here, but then the torso itself, you have the headlight area here, but it's not headlights. You have this outer orb and then this little like barrel that you can see there. You also have a large like cut in the middle of the pectoral area there, embedded in the chest. You have some red armor around the base of the abdomen there, and then you also have red going into the waist for the joint, the waist joint, I should say. For the shoulders, you have these large black shoulders that are very long, and then at the end of them, it has these like little sub-wings kind of sticking out of the top and bottom. You also have these red spots on the top of them. The bicep is long and lanky. No real detail on it. It's just black and then continues into the joint. Interestingly, there's a cover around the joint here that you can see. And then the forearms are a little bit larger. And on the outside of them, it has these large claws attached. These claws are able to flip forward, and you can also notice they have thrusters on the back of them because they are not actually, like, a part of the armor, and they can be, like, launched off this whole, like, lighter gray structure with the claws on them. Then you have a little bit of white around the wrist, and then the hands are white on the palms, and then black on the back of the hands, and then the very back of the hand, you've got a little circular part as well, similar to the Nirvash's, the normal Nirvash. The crotch piece is very elongated on this, forward. No real armor or anything on the back of it. For the legs, still has a large visible, joints for the legs. The leg armor pops up a fair bit up here, and you have these, like, little vents on the side. These, like, little open circles on the sides of the thighs. For the knee, you just have, like, a little flat knee piece that pops up, very similar to the Spec-1's knee. For the calves, no wheels or anything on the back, but when you go down, the leg and the foot are kind of like one thing, basically. It bell bottoms out a little bit, and you have these large white intakes around the base of the leg / foot there. You do have a wheel sticking out as a heel, and then for the feet, large black pointy feet with white along the bottom, a white stripe in the middle, and then a little bit of red, like where the sort of footish part is meeting the leg there. And then finally, for the backpack area, you have this huge canopy along the back of it. It's got these like little white parts on the front that are sticking out, and then in the very back middle you have some thrusters, and then mostly it's just like intakes and little, like line details, but nothing of clear function necessarily.
It's interesting that this design feels like it evokes two other like notable modern mecha designs, right? The back here feels very Code Geass because it's so extended back, and then this crotch piece is extremely Zone of the Enders.
Yeah. This machine has a couple of different things going on with it. So first of all, it has I believe this is on the top of the shoulder, and the crotch. You have a lot of homing lasers on this guy. You also have the claw that you can see there, which is cool. It is able to be launched. I like me my wired weapons. So then we have all the homing lasers that can pop open on this guy. So believe this is on the shoulder here. This little circle on the top, the little red parts are able to pop up, and you just have this ring of lasers able to be fired. And then for the crotch area, it opens up like down the panel line in the middle and just is arrayed with a whole bunch of the homing lasers as well.
Jeez.
And it is, they're homing lasers. They fire and they move around and do like these weird sharp movements to attack the target. This also, unlike... So, the Nirvash flies around doing a sort of, like a surfboard thing, right? The End is able to do a couple of different things, but its boards attached to the legs, and when attached to the legs operate, while it can turn them into like a fused board, which you can see in the lower left there, it also will keep them on the legs and use them as skis, essentially. I'm trying to find a good picture of that, because that's actually more common than the other form it takes with the board. Is it doing like the weird skiing stuff too, which is cool. Let me see. Here we go. I found a good picture of it with the robot spirits. You can see the board pieces attached to each foot there. It also has these large other blades that it can attach to the arms. So, yeah. The End, though. Very cool looking version of the machine. Has an insane cockpit in the back of it also. Let's show that off. You can see Anemone in it here. Where it almost looks like a bee, or like more like a hornet or something. And Anemone's arms are hanging up from the ceiling of it. It's got these little eyes that like seek around and look around in there. And then like her legs are connected into the part that's like the abdomen. It's really weird. It is very strange and creepy looking. Again, like, it's funny because as mentioned, the Spec-3 obviously goes full organic, but it feels like a much nicer machine. Whereas like even the cockpit here like is like very creepy and evil feeling. You can also see the way it pops up on the hatch on the back there. So that hatch just pops open.
I also will note, not a great shot of this, but in episode 48, it does get hero colors.
Yes, it also changes the design a little bit. I actually have art of that I can share in a sec.
Oh, really? Great. Well, I'll clear this out.
It is not in color, unfortunately, but it does have the body changes, which is useful when we see that. So, real quick, the other thing this is able to do is initiate the Baskud Crisis, which is a weird attack that essentially attacks the enemies, seemingly like their brain directly. Given what we see it do, it seems to just essentially like try to nuke the enemy's brain. When it is done to Eureka and Renton, it ends up pulling Anemone into it too, and ends up like it messes with all of their heads, and then they get pulled into the Crawley, and so it gets interrupted. But it's not good. And it's these little white parts that are on the outer part of the torso pop open when it is doing that, and when it fires, it's just like essentially these large red waves firing out of the chest. And it's creepy and fucked up. So, as mentioned in episode 48, it does change its colors. It has its final battle, is not destroyed though, luckily, which is good, because it would be very easy for most other mecha shows to just kill an M&A, because tragic, the tragic new type figure, but she does not die, luckily. And you can see it has a couple of body changes. The head antenna shrinks, and the horns on the side shrink a little bit. The back area cockpit also is not so huge anymore.
The face thing gets the face-like plates and sort of layout get a little more night-like and less sinister.
Mm-hmm. The shoulders have... they don't have the little wings at the end of them. The arms have lost the claw part. The crotch piece still extended a fair bit. The knees...
Yeah, but like anyone who turns to good from evil,
yeah,
Dick got smaller.
Okay, yeah. The knees are also a little bit like larger around the front, less sharp. And yeah, so it dulls it a little bit on purpose, because the normal one's very evil looking, just inherently.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. Then, let's see real quick. Give me one moment. So that's the end. The Nirvash type theEND, which is a fucking cool name also. I think there might be one other Nirvash to talk about with regards to the show. Give me 1 second. Let's see what this machine is. I think this might be... Is it just like the Nirvash early type or something? This is seen only in the flashbacks. The label calls it the Proto-Nirvash. So this is when they dig up the archetype and initially put the armor and control mechanism on it. Which is really fun, because this does not have the same look as the later LFOs. This one looks very mecha-y. In a very unique way for the show. So, it's almost the same, like, idea of the same base Nirvash head, but, just, like, rounded. No, like, V-fin, no antenna, no nothing like that. No horns. And similar faceplate, and it does have the Nirvash's eyes in there. Around the body is where things get really weird. You have these two separate pectorals with these large intakes on the front. And then just, like, a large hatch-like bit of armor just put around the front of the archetype, and another piece of armor there. You do have some torso joints still going on. You also have just visible archetype, though, and it's a little hard to see. You can see it on the back, though, like this, like, weird, like, with this, like, weird internal circuitry. That's just, like, visible, like, under creature thing going on there. For the shoulders, you've got kind of more, almost Gundam-style kind of shoulders, with a piece sandwiched between them there of armor, that pops down and goes around the bicep. The biceps are just large cubes, where the sides are extended down a little bit around the joint. The joint is just the archetype's, like, you know, soft joint there. And then for the forearm, another large bit of boxy armor going down. You do have hand covers, though the fingers, instead of being separated, are like little mittens almost around the hand. You have a separate thumb and then just like mittens. The waist, you have armor around the crotch piece there with some little intakes on either side. Visible archetype in soft insides, and then just a large cubic piece for this thigh. Just big square armor, does have these little notches in it. You do have a joint cover for the leg, which is just like this huge piece around the archetype parts, and you can even has like a little circular joint there, very Gundam style for that as well, or, you know, other mecha. And then very square lower leg. For the heel, you have a large circular part there. Looks like the heel and the foot are able to like rotate on this, if necessary. These like this big ankle pivot point, I believe that is too there, like this big circular part. And then you've just got like a little bit of foot armor for around the toe. And then for the cockpit around the back, you've got just this large box that has some antenna on the top of it, and I believe it only has one cockpit on the right side. You can see the little cockpit hatch there. Oh no, it does have it on both sides. Okay, couldn't tell for sure, but it does have two cockpits still. And then it's got like a big, like almost like a big fan vent on the back there. And then it's like a big barrel, the area they're seated in, like the way it looks like from the side. It's very odd. Much more of a standard looking mecha, though, in some ways, other than like the alien joints that are visible. And this is, you know, when they first put armor on it, which is fun. Oh, one other thing to show.
I mean, it almost...
Oh, sorry. What were you going to say?
It almost looks like a kind of like Pat Labor-y.
Yeah, it's very interesting. They're intentionally going for...
I like it a lot.
Yeah, they're intentionally going for a much more, like, you know, standard kind of robot look, but it still has some unique twists on it, which is fun. You can also see it can still partially transform there. It does the, you know, the arms pop back, the legs pop forward, and the waist kind of...
Is this still Kawamori? Because I know Izubuchi also worked on the show.
This might be Izubuchi looking at the line work. I don't know for sure, though. I'm gonna see if it doesn't list the artist. The art does not look like the same style of art, though, there.
And, you know, given it reminding me of Pat Labor and Izubuchi's work on Pat Labor, I was like, I wonder.
Oh, actually, this might be one of the animators or something working on this, because there is a signature here. And I don't know whose signature that is, in the lower right. I don't know whose that is.
Interesting.
That is not anyone I knows. It has Ed written in it, and then, like, a 0 is the only, like, things I can make out. Other than that, it's just kanji. So I'm wondering if this is, like, one of the animators or one of the people on the show team that did this, rather than, like, one of the primary mecha designers. Especially because it is only for one scene, you know? And, in a way, a funny thing is, like, for some of the extra line art here, this is basically just storyboarding for that scene, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. One other thing just to share is the naked archetype underneath. It is basically a skinnier version of what the Spec-3 looks like. Though, as mentioned, there's no head, and there's, like, no lower legs or hands. That's added by machines, which I think is interesting. It's very odd. They just dug these out of the ground, realized that they could hook controls into it to make them move, and, you know, built machines on them. And this getting cut open is why the mecha in the show tend to bleed. Because, well, yeah. It's very weird. Weird little alien things just in the ground. Okay, so we've covered all, like, the television show stuff. These, you know, the explanation for some of this stuff is going to be less detailed because like I said, I don't really know the other material as well. So, hold on, let me HQ Eureka 7. I'm just going to open up the, you know, the page that has all the different extra series on here. Yeah, okay, they don't really have separate sections for, like, Pocket Full of Rainbows and stuff, unfortunately. Let me look around at my books real quick and see if I have any of the... I don't know if I have the stuff for Pocket Full of Rainbows is the main problem, which is the movie.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I have some images for example, I assume the Spec-V is what we're doing.
Yeah, or the Spec-V, but yeah.
Sorry, yes, yes.
Yeah, so you could show that off. The Spec-V is the form this takes in the movie. It is different from the Spec-3. It is weird. This is a maligned form in a way, because the problem with Eureka 7, the movie, is even though no one who likes the show likes the movie, it kind of overtakes... It overtakes the, It overtakes the show and things. Mostly because when you put the movie in, for instance, Super Robot Wars or something, you don't have to put in a whole show, you know?
Sure.
Which is unfortunate. Let's see. I'm digging through one of my books here just to see. This is all the television stuff. Yeah, and then it just goes into, it doesn't have the movie stuff, weirdly, in this. That's so weird.
Because we're so short on good reference, I might bust out. There is a fan-made paper model that seems to be pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I don't love using this, but we don't see that we have a whole lot of choice here.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a stand in the middle here. Note that that's a stand, not that it has just a waterfall of white falling out of its crotch.
So you can see the head is still kind of the shape of the Spec-3, has a large antenna. The body has, like, expanded out, like, more, almost like a big UFO or something, you know? It has, like, widened out. The shoulders and the torso and everything are all one piece. It kind of narrows at the waist, like, where it goes into the waist. And you have, like, a white area with a bit of red underneath, and then mostly just white. You also have some black stripes along the top of it. The arms stick out from the bottom of the torso there, like on either side. The biceps are weird. They've got, like, a pinched middle to them. And the way they plug in, it almost makes them look like mushrooms or something, you know?
Yeah.
And then as you move down the arm, you get this black, thicker armor. The wrist has these little green parts on the outs, or not on the wrist, like in the the end of the forearm, right behind like the hand area, you have these like little green embedded parts, and then the hands themselves. And then for the waist, again, the legs are just kind of sticking under the body here, which just kind of spreads open. You have this like black sort of skirt piece going around. And then the legs, the thighs are again pinched towards the middle. And then for the knees, they expand out, and then the feet end in these little points. And you have these black stripes running down those. And then, yeah, so the other thing that the Spec-V has going on is it has a rod. And it also controls, like, these... It is able to control... You can see one of them there, these, like, weird little bits, basically. And... Yeah, it's a weird one to me because, like... It feels a little more machine-like. And the fact it is doing bit stuff and has, like, the magic rod is a little weird. I like it better when you just have the weird organic undermass that has grown and is firing like an organic beam out of its body.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not a huge fan of the Spec-V, and also, like I said, it doesn't help that, you know, it kind of overtakes showing up in some of the side material.
I like.
Oh yes.
I don't know. It has kind of a I can't find specific examples. Maybe you'll be able to help me because I'm making a rather different reference here. The artist, Kazuma Kaneko,
yeah,
who does the demons for SMT.
Yeah,
he has a few demons that are like made of like paper,
mm-hmm.
right? Like origami-y, and I feel like a lot of like, especially like the chest area has that aesthetic in a way I think looks pretty cool. I think there's stuff to like about this design. I think it's neat.
Yeah.
But as you say, if it sort of supplants the other Nirvashes, that's a bit of a bummer.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm like, I don't think it's like awful. It's just not my favorite. You know. The problem is I like the Spec-3 more, and that it's in direct competition with that because of, you know, how that goes. But yeah. So that's in the movie. This is one of the alternate takes of things. Then there's, in the sequel show, Eureka 7, Ow, there is a different Nirvash that kind of tries to combine both, called the Spec-V3. So, Ow, as a show, has, like, a lot of weird, like, time fuckery and shenanigans going on, and it starts, like, melding, like, the different universes together. It's very strange. It is a very tonally different show than Eureka 7. I won't be going into the other Nirvash variation because I think we would just be here a little too long, because there's its own Nirvash from that show that is its own thing with its own line. But yeah, so Renton shows up in this though, which this is like a weird mix of the Spec-V and the Spec-3, hence it being called the Spec-V3. You can see, like, in colors, it's got, like, the white, and then it's got this, like, it has green striping, which is meant to be, like, the green lights around the Spec-V, or sorry, the Spec-3. It still has, like, a separate cockpit kind of thing going on. It's a little bit more machine-like than both designs, honestly. Like, the way it's got these, like, fins sticking up and stuff. You've got, like, the arms are more like the, Spec-Vs, and it's got the little jewels at the end still. It does have the rod from the Spec-V as well. I don't entirely know how this is used, or like how it attacks and whatnot in the thing. Yeah, it has a staff that is strong enough to cut a lifting board. And it still has the 8 floating options that float around it, which is, like, what happens with the Spec-V, so it just has these, like, bits. And the bits can attach to the top of the staff when not in use, though we don't see them here. It is weird. And then we have one other weird one, which is... So, there's a set of, like, rebuild-ish movies for Eureka 7 because everything post the TV show has decided to do weird shit. And those are called High Evolution. And in High Evolution...
Yes.
When the Summer of Love... it has some events of the show happen. And when we see the Summer of Love happen, which is an event in the show, it's when the sort of like the Seven Swell, which is like a thing that like a phenomenon that happens with the Nirvash in the show happens. It instead of it just being the Nirvash, which is I believe like kind of just what it is in, you know, the show is like the proto Nirvash. We instead see this form of the Nirvash that is piloted by Adrock and Eureka. And it's quite a bit different. It still has like the colors of the final one, but it has like the head is a little different. Instead of having these like points, it has almost like these like weird needles for the points at the side of the head. No antenna. Has like a roll bar going from the torso into the cockpit area in the back. The headlights are arranged differently. You have this large vertical like red vent in the middle of the chest. The shoulder armor is like this. It has some roll bars at the end of it, and then it's just like a flat plate with like these holes drilled into it. The arms are just kind of Nirvash arms, very similar. The legs, you get these roll bars on the top of the legs, and slightly like weird different design for the feet. Also have some ankle armor that is the same kind of like drilled hole, like light armor. And the black part of the foot there at the base is like very flat, and you have this tall part in the middle. And then the cockpit area, as mentioned, is like kind of weird and different. It has what appear to be like propellant tanks, in the bottom of it. Here's like a rear shot of that, and just a single large thruster on the back. And then the spoiler and the lift board is a bit of a different design. Can't really say much about this machine either, unfortunately, because like I said, it is very odd and
Do we know the designer on this one? Because to me, especially these like pieces of armor with the holes on the shoulders here feel very Izubuchi.
I don't know if we do, unfortunately. I'd have to see.
Okay.
Let me see. High Evolution. Let me see. Does Anime News Network list the mechanical designers for it? Because I'm curious myself. Mechanical. Okay, it still has Shoji Kawamori as the main mechanical designer. And then it has two mechanical animation directors with Shingo Abe and Takeshi Yoshioka. And those are the only mecha designers that they have listed for the credits of the films.
Well, fair enough.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, it's very strange. The history of the show starts getting really weird later on. Just because, like I said, all the later materials are just very odd. It feels like it is made by people who don't like Eureka 7, unfortunately, because like the ways they do like the twists and whatnot, in my opinion, are kind of bothersome. And I mean, they are made by different people, you know, for instance, like, it's not, like, completely different teams, but, like, people's roles switch around, you know, like, scriptwriter and director and whatnot kind of switch around with, like, these later works. It's weird. The series is weird. I have a lot of love for the show and basically nothing else for it. And, yeah, I think that's basically it for Nirvash's, unless... There's the one in AO, and the one in AO is, like, its own weird thing. It's up to you. Would you want to talk about that or no?
Well, you said it had a bunch of related units, right?
It has its own, like, upgrade line and stuff, yeah. That happens with it.
I think maybe we'll come back for it at some point. I think it's divorced enough, and also, you know, you don't seem particularly excited to talk about it. We can probably pass.
I mean, like, here. You know what? Just to show the people what it is, real quick when talking about it. One problem with AO as a setting is it doesn't really do lifting anymore with the boards, and so it's just a mecha that turns into a plane. And you can see it there. And it's got It's like 3 versions, you know? It's just...
It also seems like it goes, like, as a series, it seems like, the cursory reading I've done during this is, like, it kills some characters in a ways that it, doesn't seem like what Eureka 7 was going for, and then also gets, as you say, into timeline fuckery in a way that's just like,
Well, like, the movie is, like, already itself an alternate retelling that is a bit darker and edgier in a lot of ways, which I already don't like, because one of the things I like in the show is, while it, like, has its dark moments, it feels very, like, earnest and sincere and nice. And, like, I know that this is silly to say as a Tomino fan, but, like, you can tell when someone's forcing something, you know? And it's one of those things where it just, with the if it existed on its own as just the movie's story, maybe I would feel less bad about it, but because I've seen the show, it feels awkward when then, like, the movie's like, okay, well, here's all these characters, but in this version of it, all the people you thought were your friends are now bad and mean and evil, and they do bad things to the characters you care about, the other characters you care about, and, it's just, I don't like it. I don't like it. That's all. It's just not my vibe with it. Like I said, it's like a weird thing to navigate, because it's not like I don't enjoy a lot of weird mecha stuff, that can be dark. But when it's such a tonal shift, I guess, is where I take issue. And then like you said, Eureka 7 AO not only does a lot of timeline stuff, but introduces a lot of capital L lore to the world. That is like, oh, here are some actual rules for the world. Did you know that, like, if this happens, then all these weird things happen. Did you know that if a human and Corallian have a baby and it's a daughter, she can't exist in the world, so she turns to stone and dies? And I'm like, why would you introduce that rule? That feels like you're just trying to give Eureka and Renton trauma after the ending. And I don't like it. I just don't like it. It's really gross. And, like, to me, like, just, I think the end of the show is really nice, and I think trying to take away from that to do, like, some kind of, like, edgy thing that clearly doesn't pay off because, like, a lot of people don't like it, it's just, it's frustrating. It's one of those things where Eureka 7 really is, like, one of those ones where it feels like it shouldn't be a franchise, but also because it's, like, probably one of the most popular, like, Bones things, like, it was really popular at the time, they wanted to make more.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
anyway,
saying one of the most popular Bones thing, I guess that's maybe true. Bones has done so fucking much. I
mean, compared to, like, I guess, yeah, this is the problem. I think Bones' later stuff gets a bit more popular, but, like, Eureka 7 is more popular than, like, Razafon.
Full Metal Alchemist?
They did the first FMA, didn't they? Did they do both?
They did.
Okay, you know what? I forgot those were Bones. I actually thought that those were someone else.
And then, yeah, in more recent days, they're doing, My Hero Academia and Mob Psycho 100. And
okay,
shit.
You know what?
But, like,
I forgot that Bones did all that, because, to be fair, it's all shit I'm not interested in.
Oh, wait, no, they did Brotherhood as well. Never mind. I was wrong.
Okay, yeah. I forgot that, you know what? I like I do like Mob Psycho 100, but I forgot that that was Bones. You know what? Bigger studio than I remember.
Within the last month, we did a episode of Oops All Anime where we we did like a tier list of all the studios we've covered on Oops All Anime.
Yeah.
And so front of mind what various studios have covered.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now and I'm like, man, they've done a weird series of things too, though. Like, early on, it's so funny, because early on is when they do all the stuff that I'm interested in that are interesting, because that's, like, Razafon, which I like, and Mars Daybreak, which I really want to watch, which is a different mecha, that is, what if mecha on Mars, and Mars has been terraformed, but is covered in water, and so it's aquatic mecha that are on Mars? And, like, that's, like, the kind of thing I'm interested in more, and I'm like, oh, there's a lot of these, like, adaptations of a shonen that I'm just not as interested in, like Soul Eater and whatnot.
Sure.
Oh, they also did Captain Earth. That, man, Captain Earth. It's a weird show. And then they also did Space Dandy. Okay, you know what? They did a lot more than I remembered. I was selling Bones short. Anyway, either way, it is a weird series for them because I guess what I will say is one of their older series that was popular because like looking among its contemporaries, other than Full Metal Alchemist, I don't think you really get all that much from them. Like I don't think Wolf's Rain was super popular. That's like the Adult Swim thing that I know was on that I don't know if it was actually like I've never seen people talk about Wolf's Rain.
Wolf's Rain is you are talking to a Wolf's Rain shooter. I love Wolf's Rain.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, I just don't hear about it really.
Not a lot of mechanical designs from that one, but
or like Kurao Phantom Memory. I've never heard of. I guess I've heard of Oren High School Host Club. That's another manga adaptation. But yeah. Anyway, well, either way, it feels like they really want to franchise Eureka 7 and are really odd at doing it, unfortunately.
I mean, are they still trying, or did they try a couple of things? Then?
High Evolution might be done now, I guess. I don't know for sure. Let's see, Eureka 7 High Evolution. Trying to figure out what's going on with it, because... Okay, yeah, the third film was in 2022, so it must be done? Question mark?
Okay.
Weird. Anyway, Right, I forgot Zammed. Sorry, Zammed is another show I've watched from them, which I've enjoyed what I've seen of it. That was a fucking PlayStation Network original, because Sony paid them for that. That's so funny, in 2008. Anyway, alright, sorry,
I
ramble at the end.
I did not say at the top, and also, I feel a little, so I have this written down as a request from, Strictly Mecha, from back in the day on Twitter. This is a 3-year-old request, sorry it took so long.
Wow, yeah.
Also, checking my DMs, I don't see you having requested this. If someone else requested this, please just let me know. It's possible the spreadsheet got messed up at some point. I only say that because I checked and I didn't see it, but like, we all know Twitter's a piece of shit. Maybe the message got deleted or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But thank you for the request. Fun to talk about.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm still looking at like the things that they've made. Like, never heard of the case study of Anita. There's so much anime in the world. So much anime.
It's funny because I'm gonna have probably I will at least have heard of most of the things you're gonna say, if not watched for my podcast.
Yeah, I didn't realize they were, like I said, I also just didn't realize they were My Hero Academia.
Oh yeah. That's been their, they have 4 studios, so they keep other things going.
It's one of those things where, like,
paychecks for...
Sometimes I feel bad when I'm like, oh, I actually didn't realize all this. And then on the other hand, I'm like, but I don't have an interest in it. And, disinterest, when I really just don't care, I don't actually feel all that bad about. Like My Hero Academia is just not something I don't think I'm ever going to care about.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean...
Yeah.
This is always a weird thing, right? Like, I am not a critic in the way that, like, a lot of friends are, that I would even describe you as being good with, doing, criticism of shows.
Thank you.
I am not a critic, but, like, I get put in this weird place, right? Because, like, when I see art as, like, an experience, I'm always like, I really like to take in new things, or, like, see something that makes me feel something, etc., and I like to give things a chance, a lot of the time, right? Sometimes, though, it is easy to feel dismissive. This is, like, tying into, like, a broader concept that I've been thinking about, because I've been annoyed by the proliferation of the word slop. Because when I have, like, my own disinterest in something, at least I generally try to, like, I want to, I realize this, like, kind of, like, weird complex of, like, on one hand, I said, I'm not interested in a lot of, like, large shonen. On the other hand, I'm like, well, that's kind of a broad brush to paint through. Because I do like, there are shonen shows I like. The problem is there's a ton of anime in the world, And I'm never going to get around to all of it. So, that, like, I need to be a little bit selective about it. And I feel this way about everything, right? Like, obviously, I do not have infinite time on the earth. And if I did, I could be a bit more, like, of my pie-in-the-sky idealist, like, oh, I'll just give everything a chance. Maybe this thing that is super popular, that everyone really likes, that has turned me off from the outside, is actually good. You know, you sometimes a thing is seen as good because it is good, you know? That happens. There are it's not like I don't like some popular shows. It's just, like, a weird space to navigate. And it doesn't help that when you're online, you know, fan bases and whatnot, being as they are, can sometimes turn you off of work. I like Mob Psycho, you know? When people say it's the best anime ever made, especially, like, when season 2 was airing and it was, like, 2 episodes in, even I, in my heart, feel like, man, I'm liking this, and you've made me now, like, vicariously annoyed about it. You know?
Yeah.
It's just, it's a weird thing to navigate. Perhaps everyone seeing everyone's thoughts on everything and sharing it all the time is ultimately a net negative on how people feel about things. But it's also the world we live in.
I did not finish the show, not because I disliked it, just, you know, didn't double back. I should, in fact, at some point. But one of the Bones works is Godzilla Singular Point, which was quite good. And
going to be in Super Robot Wars.
Here's their Jet Jaguar.
It's so, I've seen that. It's so good. Look at that guy.
And here's their Mecha Godzilla, which I think they call Robo Godzilla, but that's a cool picture.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. It just also just shows in my head, I'm just like, it just shows what my brain thinks about when I think about anime, though. That, like, when I think of Studio Bones, my brain goes, Razafon and Eureka 7 and, you know, like, all these, like, not necessarily the most popular things.
The problem is my brain goes Cowboy Bebop, and that's, like, technically not true.
Wait.
That's the people who made Cowboy Bebop who then left to form Bones, but...
Yeah, I was gonna say, because that's still... Wait, yeah.
They were still Sunrise at the time, but, like, they did work on, like, the Cowboy Bebop movie, because it is a lot of the Cowboy Bebop
Yeah,
stuff.
because, Bones, like, splits off early on. It's just... I haven't seen the Cowboy Bebop movie. That's, like, a weird black hole for me that I probably should watch, because people like it.
If you want to watch more Cowboy Bebop,
that's it.
Like
I'm not like the hugest Cowboy Bebop fan. I'm not also a hater though either, right? It's like one of those things where I like, you know, I enjoy some episodes quite a bit, and you know, it's good. Sometimes something's just all right.
Let me tell you,
I like it.
Watching one new anime a week for how long has it been? Like 8 years or something? I don't know, 7, whatever. For years and years. I will no longer, there will be times where I'm like, oh yeah, you know, this is cool, you should watch that. I no longer will push anyone to watch anything. There's just too much fucking media in the world. Who cares? I'm like
looking, if I go into my, my general anime folder, not even my mecha folder, I've still got so much anime that I have saved that it's like, I need to finish watching these, you know, or start watching them, you know. I got this is like one that got interrupted just by life, but I did get halfway through like Blood Plus, and I was enjoying that a fair bit. It's weird. It has some problematic elements, but I was enjoying it. Or like, you know, I've got Catherine Sins is like one that's been recommended to me that I want to watch. Fucking just digging through. Girls Last Tour is one that people have recommended me. Hibane Renmei, you know. Dear Brother,
sure.
Which, you know, I'll probably watch and then go through. Why am I spacing what show it's on? Friends of ours are podcasting about that right now, you know, so yeah. My brain is just blank. I'm also very tired because I didn't actually get a ton of sleep, so I woke up after like 4 hours and I'm like, okay, it's recording time. But like I said, there's just a lot of shows I have downloaded that I've had downloaded that I haven't watched yet. You know, usually just things tuned to someone told me I would like this. That's usually like the biggest sell for me, is someone that I know and trust just going, I think you would like this, and I'm like, okay, and I download it. Doesn't mean I'll get to it soon. Problem is, a lot of things I haven't watched yet that I want to get to are also just mecha things, right? Like, I really want to watch Zabungle at some point. And I've got Better Man, which I need to watch. I've got, Elgheim, just various old and less old mecha. I don't want to say new mecha because there's not a lot of new mecha on here that I still want to watch, but old and less old mecha. But yeah. Anyway, that's a pod. I think that's an
all right.
episode. Six.
This has
where
been
can
the
people
pod.
find you online?
You can find me on Twitter. No. Damn it.
Oh.
Sorry.
I'll bring it up after the show.
I mean, I guess you technically can, but don't do it. Blue Sky at 6.mar. You can also find my work at scanlinemedia.com or patreon.com/scanlinemedia, and you can, ask questions of Dylan and I over on the Scanline Media Discord.
Yeah.
Dylan, what about you?
You can find me on Blue Sky at LowPolyRobot. And other than that, yeah, I hang out on the Discord. Haven't really. What have I been doing? I don't even remember what I've been doing the past couple days. I got really into Xanadu next, and then I ran into the classic old PC problem of I'm having a very specific crash, and I can't figure out what's causing it. And it was okay for a little bit, because what would happen is when I would load a new map screen, right? Because, the map, obviously, when, you load a screen, and then when you take one of the doors, it loads another screen. It was freezing and locking up when I would load a screen. This wasn't a problem at first, because it generally would, autosave whenever this happened. But then it didn't autosave, and I lost 30 minutes of progress, and I was like, okay, I just want to figure out how to fix this now if it's not always going to be reliably autosaving, So instead, while there are other things I should finish, unfortunately I'm watching Austin's videos of KOTOR 2 for a more civilized age means I started playing KOTOR 2 again. Because even if I have plenty of problems with the writing, as a video game, I still like playing it. And hearing him use security skill on doors and hearing the ding 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 noise and whatnot, I was like, oh, I want the brain chemicals of playing that RPG again. Fuck. Because I like it as a game.
I am actually also watching an Austin Walker LP right now. I am going through the old Tactical Tuesdays, Austin and Rob of XCOM 2 and War of the Chosen.
Mm-hmm.
Which has been fun.
I was just checking to see if part 3 of the AMCA playthrough is up. Not yet. I like listening to the pod, but it's also just sometimes it's just fun. For me, it was just fun watching Austin play through that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a weird Falcom thing happen because I watched a video on Sorcerian, and then I'm just like, oh, all the old Falcom stuff looks really cool. And I feel bad because a lot of people I know who are Falcom fans, while they do like Ys, I know a lot of Trails fans and whatnot, but of course, me being me, I'm like, oh, Sorcerian and Popful Mail and Xanadu, these are all the cool-looking things to me.
Sure.
I mean, to be fair, they're some of the shit in those games is crazy, for their old PC games.
I'm not saying you're wrong, it's just,
Look, it's really cool.
You're defending yourself against nothing, Dylan.
I know. I am what you probably do know about me actually is that I am always engaging in vigorous self-critique at all times, so I have to defend myself even from myself. Anyway, Xanadu in its monster manual had a creature called an owl bear, and this is not an owl nor a bear.
Nor an owl bear, because I know what those look like too.
No, this is... I assume they had the monster manual for D&D, like many an early Japanese fantasy company, and then decided to use some creature names from it. But funnily, unlike Final Fantasy, which just has some creature designs also lifted wholesale, like the Mind Flayer and whatnot, Xanadu changes the designs, but keeps some of the names still, like they just didn't have a name. And I was just like... You can't. I mean, you did, but you can't do that. But yeah. Also, surprising no one, Falcom games have really good music. I downloaded all the soundtracks for all the Sorcerian games. I mean, it Yuzo Koshiro, so, you know, on quite a few of the songs. Obviously, there are other composers, too, though Yuzo Koshiro did do, like, more than half of them, and a lot of my favorite tracks are from him, so, you know. Always like his music. Oh, I did post a weird owl. That's the other thing I did on Blue Sky. Hey, Six, have you ever seen an owl that looks like this? Look at this guy. It looks like a Star Trek alien owl.
It's cool. But yes, in fact, I have seen that.
Okay, yeah. It's a bay owl. It's so weird. It's like a barn owl with a really crazy brow ridge, basically.
It's very cute.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my Blue Sky is a grab bag of random stuff. Me posting art, me posting games, etc., etc. People seem to enjoy the things I post, though, so yeah. Follow me there if you want. Alright, well, right, well, this was a Nirvash episode. We've just been talking. It happens. It's fine. Got a closing statement?
No.
I was like, I've been watching Eureka 7. I'm like, what's a good quote? The problem is my brain doesn't think in quotes in this way always, you know? Like, so it's just hard to pull, like, an exact quote.
Yeah, I always have to pull something up, because I can do it for shows I've seen more of. I've seen shamefully little of Eureka 7, but...
Well,
yeah.
Whatever. Peace.
Yep. Peace.